jobs.
Back with us is former Senator Scott Brown and Democratic strategist Rich Goodstein. Fox Business's Liz MacDonald has been doing some fact-checking for us. And Liz, what have you found? I should point out, by the way, you covered HP Hewlett-Packard back when she was CEO.
Well, yeah, when I was at the Wall Street Journal, I was covering HP and Compaq and just looked into what was going on. It was a really dysfunctional company. And by the way, after Carly Fiorina was effectively stepped down as CEO, I think she was pushed out by the board, the company went, 6 of the next 10 CEOs lasted only about a year. This is a highly dysfunctional company, a highly dysfunctional board. Yes, the revenues went up after the merger. It went from, HP had about $45 billion in revenues. Compaq brought $34 billion to that. So, maybe you can look into her numbers and say, oh, really? But
she doesn't
that's what was going on.
Elizabeth, strike me as having shown herself as an innovator in that company, because Compaq, not exactly where you want to be these days. And Eastman Kodak, actually, not a lot of people know this, but she tried to acquire Eastman Kodak, and it came out later in a book. Again, Eastman Kodak, I just question if some of these things are going to come up in terms of her judgment in trying to create.
Well, the context needs to come up. There was a tech boom going on in the late 90s. HP was still struggling. Sales were starting to go down. And then the tech disaster, the dot-com bubble burst. Kmart went bankrupt, WorldCom, Enron, problems there. And HP had to struggle through that tech downturn. So, can you question her numbers and her math? I guess so. But, it has to be in the context of the times and how much turmoil the board was in.
Rich Goodstein, your take on Carly Fiorina's performance as a CEO?
Well, I'm glad Liz said what she said, rather than it being attributed to some Democratic hack. Look, it's worse. Carly Fiorina touts herself as it's worse in this regard. She says, I'm a non-politician. She's a non-politician because she ran for the Senate in the single best year the Republicans have had probably in any of our lifetimes, and lost by over 10 percentage points, granted in California. And the thing that blew her out of the water was an ad that said during the time that HP was laying off 30,000 jobs back then, not just what was reported yesterday.
All right,
she tripled her salary, she bought 5 corporate jets, and she sent jobs to China. That is a horrible mixture. As I said last night, it makes being capital look tame.
You're starting to sound like Donald Trump. Listen to this. This is